Aaron Singerman, CEO of Redcon1.
Silky Tuba, Vice President at Redcon1.
Eduardo Silva, Chief of Staff at Redcon1.
So right now, today is our 2-year anniversary selling nutritional supplements as Redcon1, and it has been one hell of a 2-year period, would you say?
Yeah, because it seems like it's been like 6 months some days, because it's just been flying by.
And then some days it feels like it's been 20 years.
Well, because we don't stop.
Yeah. So it's like, let me ask, when we first got going, did you expect it to be like this 2 years down the road?
I knew it was going to be big. I couldn't have predicted it was going to be this big, this fast.
People ask me that a lot in interviews. I always get asked, like, did you expect it to be like this? And you'd have to be like super arrogant, right? You have to be like a cocky dude to be like, oh yeah, of course, this is part of the plan, right?
Yeah. You know, there's we hoped, and that's the way we worked. We worked as if, but did we ever think it would be? No. Who would have thought we'd be in Vitamin Shop, GNC, have all this international, all these outlets in just 2 years.
Just military bases.
When we were shopping for warehouses, the one that we're in now, we were like, oh my God,
we're never gonna
fill this.
Yeah.
And then here we are, like 7 or 8 warehouses later.
So we started basically when we left the other company. It's called the other company.
It's like a contract with the other company.
Yeah. Barely anybody knows about the other company anymore. So
not even a company really.
When we left that company, we went. Well, the first thing that happened really was I had to round up. Make sure everybody was still on board. Me and you, I knew you were stuck with me. You're not going anywhere. And then Eddie.
With you either way.
Yeah, and then Eddie, who is the warehouse manager now, he was my nanny's husband, and so he came. We had him. We had Howard. I had to call you and make sure you were still on board because you had just left as well.
Yeah, but remember when I was texting you, I was like, "Hey, I'm leaving regardless." I was like,
yeah.
"I'm here for you, not this place."
Of course. So when we all got together, we started off at Flex Lewis's gym. So in his gym, the Dragon's Lair, which has now become like a thing of its own. We were upstairs in the office that doesn't really exist anymore, in the conference table, and Flex was nice enough to let us use the conference table for the first week or so.
A couple weeks till the temporary office was available.
Yeah, and then we got a temporary office, which was like one of those what do you call it? Like a WeWork kind of thing?
Yeah, a workspace, like in a building.
Yeah, so it's like a big downtown or East Boca building, a bank building, and then up at the top, one of the top floors, the whole floor was basically like little offices for rent, and it was all like a big kind of open. It's like a WeWork. That's what in New York, right? Yeah. So we were all in there, and we had 2 offices, right? Yep. We had the one where you, Matt, and who else?
Young Lawrence, and Nikki.
Perlman and Nikki, We're in one, very tight squeeze.
5 of us in a 2-person office.
Yeah, 5 in a 2-person office. And then me and you and who else? And Howard were in the other one it was probably meant for a single person.
It was a small office.
Yeah, and we went there every day, and we were there kind of grinding it out in the very beginning, making phone calls, reaching out to people and trying to pre-sell them supplements.
Where we approved all the samples, everything.
Yep.
Everything happened there.
It seems like a blur to me. that whole time, it was a stressful time. You know?
Honestly, I think that transition from that building to Black Friday is like a blur.
Yeah, it's like a blur. Yeah. It was like a crazy time where we're just like stuffed in there and we're making sales and making it work. And one of the things that was really cool is that a lot of people bought into the brand before there even was a brand. We didn't even have physical products, and we had, $100,000 in pre-sales or something like that.
Right? And then remember we went to the Olympia and all the meetings that we got.
Yeah, we got meetings lined up.
Yeah, we didn't have a t-shirt till July.
Yeah. So we basically went there and lined up sales at the Olympia. We lined up sales beforehand, and we got money in before we even had products to sell, which is pretty awesome. One of the cool things about Redcon1 is that I never took a loan from anybody. I never brought on partners. We never did anything to generate money. That we basically generated our own income, and from the very initial order. So like people say like, well, what did you have to put in? Basically, we got all the supplements because of my past relationships on terms. We were able to pay off all of the terms by the end. So basically we got, $400,000 or $500,000 in products, right? $400,000 in products initially.
I think so.
And by the time we owed for those products, we had sold enough to pay it all off.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it too is we just kept everything lean in the beginning.
Very lean.
Everyone wears and still does a lot of different hats just to make it work.
And so back to what you were saying, we walked into this, we were shopping. It's very difficult to find warehouse space that had offices, flex space in Boca. And we walked into this place just down the road here, and in our initial office, and it was 8,800 square feet, right?
Yeah.
And we walked around and we're like, dude, everybody's like, is this a good idea? And I walked around, we went several times to the office, and I walked around and really was like, man, I hope I'm not making a bad decision, because commercial leases are 5 years. We have a 3-year out on ours, thank God, because we needed a bigger space. But it was a long lease. And I walked around and I was like, man, this is kind of scary, right? To commit to that. And it was $12,000 a month.
And remember, we looked at the one on the backside that was even bigger warehouse
Bigger
space.
warehouse, had less offices.
Yeah, less offices. Probably, yeah. It'd be nice if we got both of them, huh?
Now it would be
Nice. So we walked in there, and like you said, we literally this is going to be good forever.
Yeah.
We will never need a bigger place than this.
No, well, you were very hopeful. You're like, God, if we get to the point where we've filled this thing, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. I was like, oh man.
That didn't last very long.
No, it didn't last very long at all. And so shortly after that, we started kicking ass, and we had a really big goal for year number 1, and we more than doubled our goal for year number 1. And in that process, we picked up everybody from bodybuilding to, in the first year, it was mostly bodybuilding. We started really taking off for brick and mortar. We got
all the big e-tailers.
Yeah, all the big e-tailers basically. And we got in about 1,000 brick and mortar locations, which was a huge deal. And we started establishing the brand internationally, which you're responsible for dealing with all those customers.
Yeah, we both are. I mean, that's the thing is it's a collective effort. That's the cool part is my previous careers, everything was so fragmented. Everybody had their role and that was it. We're here, it's like, listen, we got to sweep up and take out the trash. We do it. And I think that's why it's worked so well. Yeah. Nobody's drawn a line in the sand that I only do this.
And nobody ever goes, it's not my department.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't do
if
it.
they do that, they're not going to be here too long. They're not going to be here too long. I'm not a big fan of that. Everybody jumps when I need to.
After 5, I can't do that.
Yeah, oh my God.
I'm clocked out.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good way to not be working for Redcon1 anymore. So we sped up pretty quick, and from the very beginning, we didn't vocalize this a whole lot, and I certainly didn't tell a lot of people, but my goal was always to be the biggest sports supplement brand in the world. And I didn't think we'd be so far on our way now, but I thought, you know what, that's the goal that we really want, and we started having our actions, reflect that long-term goal, and I think as we started focusing in that direction, it seemed like things started happening where we were knocking down these bigger accounts like the Vitamin Shops and GNCs.
Everything started everything fell into place.
Yeah.
Just so. Even from us leaving the previous company to how we are now, everything's just falling correctly into place, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think it's because we're relentless. We just don't stop. And I don't say that, that's the way we operate. It's
You've been told no plenty of times on some of these big accounts.
Oh yeah, just keep going.
Yeah. Vitamin Shop, we got told no.
Vitamin Shop, we got told no for a year. They told me no over and over, and I would email them. So interesting story for Vitamin Shop. So there was a person at Vitamin Shop, I'm not trying to call him out or anything, but there was a person at Vitamin Shop who said that the brand didn't fit, right?
Put a name on the lower third.
Yeah, exactly. Ray will edit that in later. So this person, right, I sent them everything, and they said the presentation that we sent was the best they'd ever seen, but unfortunately the brand Redcon1 didn't fit in the Vitamin Shop. So I basically went on a campaign where I emailed that person on a weekly basis. I sent every news article, all of our videos to them, and I was truly relentless to the point of, I'm sure, being very annoying. And then I took it another step, and I had all the tier operators begin tagging them and requesting and calling the 1-800 number, and everybody that told me to, why are you not in Vitamin Shop, or you'd be great in Vitamin Shop, I said, please call this number or email this person, and I would tag them in all the social media. And it took a year, but finally, right before she got fired or quit, she said, hey, you're in, we're interested, you're in. And that was probably one of the cooler emails that I've gotten ever, because it's like, man, all that persistence paid off. I wore it out. She literally said, you win. That's what she said in the email. You win. And it just goes to show you, in life, it's not always going to be easy, but if you're persistent, you don't give up and work your ass off, eventually it's going to happen, right? Yeah. And that's basically how it's happened for us.
Going from that to now, we just got back from the PEC,
which is ridiculous.
And every single regional manager or store manager was just thanking us, telling us how much they love the brand, how much more business their store is doing because of the brand. People walking in specifically asking for the brand and then not having to sell it. It's pretty cool.
Unbelievable. Top 30 vendor at Vitamin Shop already, which is
In just a
amazing.
few months.
Just a few months.
That's why you just do the simple things savagely.
Yeah, there you
Always
go.
win.
There you go. So, we have outgrown this warehouse. We had an overflow warehouse that has now become the B2B warehouse because we're shipping. And he told me that, I can't remember the exact numbers. I don't want to give but it was something like last calendar year, we shipped out something like 1,400 pallets or something like that in the whole calendar year. And he said we've done like 4 times as much of last year already in this year, where it's like now they have 30 pallets a day.
Oh yeah, I walked over there yesterday and there was probably had to be close to 40 skids sitting there that had to go out.
Yep.
So and stuff had already been picked up once. There's the next run coming out. So
that overflow warehouse became the B2B warehouse, and we got the spot next to it. So now we have 12,000 square feet back there. We have 2 cold storage warehouses that are unattached, that hold the bars and then hold some of the slower movers. And it's become quite a process. You guys probably have seen the military truck. That thing is going all around this area here in Boca, going from warehouse to warehouse, moving stuff around and putting pallets on to bring from one place to another. And while it's super inefficient, it is what we had to do was we've grown so fast, and it's been such an amazing journey with all the tier operators. Another thing that who would have ever in a million years predicted we'd have 6,500 or whatever the number is at this point today, individuals that are brand ambassadors that love the brand so much that they're constantly promoting.
Yeah,
and
they work for free,
yeah.
work booths for free, wear the apparel nonstop every day.
And they work up the tiers.
For free,
Yeah.
like the work for free.
Unbelievable. Work up the tiers, and well, they're hoping to get up the tier and become an employee. Obviously, we've hired a dozen plus people out of the tier operator program. Some of them become athletes, frontline guys. So it's been a really cool, kind of like a feeder system, almost like a minor league to get into the major leagues.
Yeah, and it's great. The great thing about it too is they're so well versed in the product.
Yeah.
So when they do communicate with people, it's good communication. It's great to have. I mean, it's one of those things I always say. I'm glad they're doing it because it'd be tough for us to do it. So they play a major role.
We got very good feedback about them from the Vitamin Shop people. They're like, "Oh, your people that have come in and
they
done
love
demos
it.
have been fantastic. They all know everything. They teach us."
And obviously, a very major force in all this from the beginning, before we had anything, was Dallas McCarver, who is his 1-year anniversary of his passing just happened last month. And I think it's important for us to take a second and recognize that who knows, people ask me a lot, how big a portion did Dallas play? He was the face of the brand. He initially got us in front of a ton of people that we may not have been gotten in front of before, if it weren't for him. And it's hard to estimate how big a role he played. It's a tremendous, huge impact in the brand and for our lives personally as a friend and extended family member of ourselves and the company. And one of the more traumatic times in my life, and I've had a lot of traumatic moments unfortunately in my life, was him passing suddenly. And it's something that I think affected all of us in a huge way.
Yeah, he was all like our friend. My wife and I went on numerous double dates with him, and we would go to the movies with him. And he was like a family friend.
Yeah.
He wasn't just like an employee or an athlete. So he was a family friend. So that loss was tough for everybody.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say. I mean, I always tell everyone I was like another one of my kids. He was not that much older than my oldest son, so he moved in by us to be by us, and never be another soul like that. And I'm just thankful we had him. That he was in our life. So, and then on that note, content. One of the great things Dallas brought was he was here every day in the house, and we could film him and document his life and let the fans see that. And I think that's one thing that we've done well of continue that on today. Yeah,
the one big thing I think that separates Redcon1, and this is part of the initial plan that we had from the very beginning, was to put out great content and great value to the consumers, to the potential consumers. Give them something for free. Give them as much as we can for free and the highest quality for free, and hope that they like what we're putting out. And in exchange for that, they come check out the website. Maybe they buy Total War. Maybe they check out some of the MRE bars, or maybe they just buy a T-shirt. And that was the plan, was hoping that we could provide value to people, and that value translated into them liking us enough to giving us a shot. And it certainly has worked. That plan definitely worked. And Dallas's content was the initial I mean, that was really from the very first video that we did, where he sat down in the backyard and we talked about our plans for the business and how he decided to come on. That has now played out 2 years down the line, and it's working pretty damn well.
Yeah, our content, you see everybody, there's something for everybody with what Darielle does with Mommy's Corner. You have stuff with hardcore stuff like we have with Dallas and Brian. And then you have like our whole office has become a big cast of characters now. Now you have, weekly debriefing with all the meatheads, and then you have all these kind of different segments. It's just, it's like something that doesn't exist in supplements right now.
Yeah, it's funny, Eric always says, because we obviously do, one of the things, pieces of content we do is Silky Science, where we talk about the science behind the supplements, is that we're kind of like a unicorn in the supplement space. Yeah, it's not, there's not really any other companies out there like this, and I think as a result, I always love to say this, because it's the truth, and it's awesome to be able to say that we're the fastest growing sports supplement company in the history of the world. And I think that shows, I mean, it speaks to the fact that we are unique.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is because, like I've told you this from before we even worked together, Redcon's, I think, is one of the parts that makes it so successful is because of the personality.
Yeah.
You're out in front of the camera. You are the face of the brand. That's a good thing, because so many brands are faceless. And then now you take it one step further, and all the employees are part of that face. Yeah. The operators are part of that face at this point. So it's not that this elitist, like, only these people are really like part of the company and accessible. Everyone is.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of those magical pieces of the brand that's just like people know, that they're connected to it in that way. It doesn't happen very often.
You don't know anybody else that works at another supplement company. You don't go, oh yeah, that guy's the marketing person. I've never seen the
Or
marketing.
you're in the gym doing cardio, like, oh, hey, there's Aaron, like, or Eduardo. It's like they can come talk to you.
Yeah.
It's not often.
We had I remember the guy came up at the Vitamin Shop PEC just recently. He was like, oh, the Silky one. Like, oh, I'll get a picture
he's
of
from
Silky
somewhere
too.
around here, and I was like, what?
He's like, I'll get a picture of Silky too. But it was pretty awesome. So
The guy that had us sign his shirt because he watched the Readiness Report.
Yeah, Readiness Report. So many people said they watched me do cardio and do like answer questions and get product information that way. So I mean, I guess more than anything, if you guys are watching this right now, more than likely we owe you a thank you. Yes. Because if it weren't for all the people that are visiting the site, buying the products, enjoying the content, and following all of us, we wouldn't be here doing this. So I feel extremely fortunate. I have to pinch myself that we're able to do this and able to make a living doing fun stuff, and then I'm able to go to work every day and look forward to the new exciting things that are going to undoubtedly happen every day.
Same here, because I mean, like I've said before, I thought my career in the supplement world was over, and not only is it not, it's the most fun I've ever had doing it, and the most I feel like I'm actually really giving back for once, or everything I've known and done over 20 years, I'm actually able to make a difference now. So I can't thank everyone enough for supporting us.
Yeah, I feel like this was the first time in my life where I feel actually fulfilled. As I told you before, like I worked retail before this, and then I worked in like a tech company, and it was just boring. Like I knew what day of the week it was because I couldn't wait for it to be Saturday.
Over?
I was
Right.
miserable. Yeah. Now I never know what day of the week it is. I was like, I just come here.
Yeah.
Every day. It's just part of my life, and it's like it's the most enjoyable thing like that I've ever done for work. So I love what I do every day.
So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for participating. Thank you for coming to the site, and keep on coming, man, because we got a lot more ahead.